To order this special meeting for Town of Archer Lodge on this Monday, June 8, 2026, in these Jeffrey D. Barnes Council Chambers. Councilman Jackson, if you would please give him our invocation.
Sure. Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the many blessings that we have. We thank you for the freedoms that we have. It's a crazy place or crazy time to be alive, but it's a good time to be alive too. I think there's a lot of, with all the trouble in the world, there's a lot of good in the world too. We do ask that you look over us and look over our town, just to put a hedge of protection around our town and its folks. We do ask that you guide us in our deliberations as we go about the town's business and help us to remember whose we are. We ask that you, well, again, just look over our service members. As part of this crazy world, they're in harm's way a lot. And we just ask that you keep them safe and help their families deal with their separation. And we ask for peace and grace in all the things that we do. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Item number 2, discussion and possible action items is item 2A, discussion on fiscal year 2026-2027 budget. The budget, has, or the draft budget has been presented. I think in the budget message, it details that the overall, what is being recommended is 28.5, which is a reduction of 1.5. So that would bring the fire, what would be dedicated to the fire at 11.5 cent. It would reduce what's going to the park from 2 to 1 cent. And then that would reduce everything else that's left toward the operation of the town from 6 cents and a half to 16 cents. My recommendation would be to go over, if there's any questions or concerns, go over by department and start there.
So are you asking us just to chime in, Mayor, or are we going to?
That's correct. Yep.
David's kind of.
Give
Go ahead,
everybody
Mark.
time to get their thoughts together, and we can start anytime.
Councilmember Britton, what I suggested to the mayor before, I gave the presentation of the recommended budget 3 weeks ago. I did a summary a week ago, and certainly look forward to the feedback from council. And, just as to conserve time, I think just going straight, department by department.
Like I said, I just knew in the past that that's how we did it, so I didn't know if we were waiting on you or you were waiting on us.
So, mayor suggested going department by department, so if you want to start with the governing body.
I really didn't have any comments on the governing body. I don't know if anyone else did.
for those that do not know, typically the revenues are in green, but I didn't have enough green paper, so they were in blue this year. It ended up matching the blue prettier than it did the green, but we've got some on order. So when the adopted revenues get done, the adopted version will have green as revenues. So that's what the blue is significant of. The peak sheet is just the total for that particular department. And make sure that you are looking at the admin requested column and not, or the admin recommended column and not the first column as requested. Now revenues will not have but 2 columns, so it would not be the approved one, it would say, requested, admin requested, or
Okay,
recommended, yeah.
before we leave governing body, was there anybody that had any questions or comments on that? Next is administration, correct?
Yes, sir.
I do have some comments on it. I know I brought this up in the past, the 2 part-time positions that the town council never approved, I would like to consider eliminating those. Also, since the retirement has increased to from 14.48 to 17.59, an additional 3.1%, I'd like the 401K to be reduced from 6% to a 4% match. And the other thing, I did some research on health insurance premiums that employees pay. As of August of last year, Walmart employees paid $78 a month. Cardinal Gibbons School paid $114. Let's see. Lowe's Home Centers, their employees paid $238. And what I'd like to consider is going to kind of what the state does, that they've got employee contributions that are based on the amount of salary that an employee pays. For the standard PPO, which is the old 70/30, it ranged from $35 to $80, and for the 80/20, from $66 to $160. Just because these calls keep going up, and I know several residents have talked to me about they've had to cancel their health insurance because they just can't afford it. And so now, trying to ask those same people to pay 100%, I think is a little something we need to take into consideration. And then.
Excuse me, Councilman Bruton, just for clarity, the 2 part-time positions, could you specify which ones you're referencing?
The EA for, what was 1 day a week, and then the HR officer that were never approved. And then I had from the training and meetings, when we were going over the draft, I think council's recommendation was to go from 5,000 to 4,000, but I see that it didn't change.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sorry, ma'am, I'm still fighting a cold. For the training and meetings, the original requested was 5,000, and from the conversations we had last time, I felt there was a consensus from town council to reduce that down to 4,000, but it did not get changed in the recommended versus the draft.
Page 9.
Page number,
9.
yeah, page 9.
I have that highlighted as well.
And then for the small equipment and furnishings on page 13, I noticed the requested from the draft was 6,000, but the recommended had jumped to 10,000.
Where are we? I'm sorry.
Is it possible for you to tell us what page you're
I
on?
thought I said page 13.
I'm sorry, it still takes me a
Well,
while
like
to
I
catch
said,
up.
I know I'm scratchy, so
Well,
if
it's
I'm
not
not making
scratchy, it's
sense.
just, it's turn the pages and
Yeah, I'm
stuff.
sorry, it was on page 13.
Small equipment,
Yeah, the requested was 6, but it jumped up to 10.
and I believe that was was that in regards to the cabinet, Kim, that we
Train-
increased?
Is that training?
No, the small equipment furnishings.
Oh, okay.
Well, originally, the cabinet, we were told was in that 6,000, but then it was also a separate line item all by itself. So the separate line item got reduced.
Because originally it was in capital outlay, as 6,000 there. Anything over 5,000 and over is considered capital outlay. So when we do another price comparison, with the potential of a 2-drawer versus a 4-drawer, it reduced tremendously. So it lowered less than 5,000, so it got moved out of that one and got added to the equipment and furnishings.
So combined, we had 6 and 6, total of 12. Since we took it out of the capital outlay, we were still able to do an overall reduction of 2, so from 12 to 10.
Okay, because I thought we were told that the first 6, that wasn't the line item by itself for the file cabinet, included the file cabinet. So did I misunderstand that from the previous conversation? Because it was like when we asked what was in the small equipment, we were told it had the file cabinet, but then it was also duplicated as a separate.
I think you're right. I think it was duplicated and that was an error on my fault. So that's why you no longer see it there. And then it needed to be reduced as well.
Okay, so it wasn't included in the first one?
I don't
Okay,
think so.
Okay, then I misunderstood that from last time. I thought
Well, I'm not
we were in
sure
there
either.
twice.
Yeah, it was on the previous one, it was on page 13 as a duplication. And so we marked that out, but it still should be 6 because we were told it was included in
Yeah,
that 6,
'Cause
Within the 6.
in the April copy draft that we received.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So it should be 6, not 10.
yeah, because I see now, because it does say under small equipment and furnishings in the draft, electronics, office equipment, laptop, fireproof cabinet. And then the next line item was the fireproof cabinet.
Okay, so now that I'm sitting here looking at the notes and we got an updated quote from the scanning company that, we were looking at just scanning the personnel documents. And the actual scan, which was part of the budget amendment that was approved, the actual scanning document procedure, in itself was fairly reasonable. But when we got the quote, it included, on how we were gonna access it. We hadn't gotten that far in the discussion, other than them just doing the process. But then, in order for staff to be able to, either get it on a flash drive that maybe could be uploaded to our clouds, we're not sure on how big a file it would be, or having a annual access to have, like having a portal on your desktop for a couple of users, which would be Ben, records person, personnel, and probably admin, with the channel administrator. That quote ended up being like $20,000 to $25,000.
Wow.
In addition, well, some of that included a one-time setup fee. You just pay this one time, and every year there would be like an annual subscription to it. And I want to say that was like $5,000. So we knew we couldn't do that. So I believe that's why we increased this one to include, to go back to a 4-drawer cabinet, if that makes sense.
Okay, so
Because we couldn't do no 25,000.
no, so
Cabinets
it's a bigger, more expensive than what was originally in the draft, basically, for a file cabinet.
Actually, it's probably a less
Is
expensive
it? Okay.
one than because I think if I remember correctly, what Councilmember Davis brought in, and then we had done a little bit more additional homework on a Fire King proof cabinet. Because there's different protections, so like a 1 hour limit and a 2 hour limit, or, you know, some are waterproof, or, I mean, there's different variety.
Gotcha.
And so it wasn't going to be as much as we originally anticipated. So I believe that's why we just took it down from six, took it completely out of capital outlay at 6,000, reduced it to 4,000, and added it into the furnishings. Does that make sense?
It does, other than, in the draft, it was also listed under equipment. Was that
And
an
it may have been
error?
an oversight
Okay.
of thinking that's where it was originally going to go. But we got ready to put it in the budget, I was thinking it's going to be a capital outlay being over 5,000.
So the description
And
didn't
so
match
it
the total.
It got put in both areas.
Mayor, if I may suggest, it may be helpful, before we go too far into too many departments. I know, you know, so individual council members are talking about, you know, questions, concerns, recommendations. You know, council may decide, it may be helpful to decide how you want to incorporate that into direction from council as a whole, to staff. So, you know, I don't know, will there be, I certainly don't want to duplicate efforts, but I don't know how you want to, if you want to do that department by department, or to have, you know, some type of direction at the end, but it may be helpful to decide how you want to proceed.
Okay. Now, depending on how many items per department so far, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've got 5 items that have been mentioned.
I do have a comment on one of those items, and it was the retirement percentage that you mentioned. There's been an update since the recommended budget came out. I've got the paperwork tonight. I've been trying to get clarification because I had 2 reportings of how it was going to be received. So originally in the early budget discussions, the table that I had received back in March on what the percentage was going to be for the elders, that's the retirement system, included a mandated 2.4% that the state treasurer's office had included on any body that's municipalities that are state health plan members, and which that is us. And there, you probably have heard about the big deficit with the state health plan, and how they're trying to try to correct that deficit. Not, they can't do it all at one time, so they're just making strides. So I read in the General Assembly last year approved that they would make it mandated 2.4% would be added. Well, they did it immediately, and but they didn't realize how that was going to, like some other items, they didn't know how it was going to affect the real operations of how it was going to be administered. And so a lot of your local municipalities got up with the state treasurer, I think the league was behind it as well, saying, you know, these budgets have already been adopted for the current year, and you're putting a strain on people's budgets by making it mandated. I think it was going to be effective October the 1st. And it may be January 1, but anyway. And so they changed it and said, okay, we're not going to do it now because it will mess up people's budgets, but we're going to make it effective July 1 of this coming year. And so when we got our rate in March, it included that 2.4%, which is in a part of that 18 that you mentioned a while ago. So the 2.4% is not going to be a part of the percentage. It's now mandated at 15.19%. So that figure is already going to be changed. We'll budget probably maybe 15.3, just be on the safe side. And however, the 2.4%, we're still going to have to be paid, but it will be billed with the invoice that we receive every month for the premiums. Does that make sense? So we're still gonna have to pay it, it's just not gonna be done, it's not gonna be paid through the payroll process. It's gonna be paid through, just like writing a check. Of course, it's an automatic draft, but it'll be on the invoice for the, with the premiums per employee. So it's at 2.4% there. Hopefully I've explained that very well. But I just got clarification this past Friday on that and an email stating that there was an updated table that I did not have reference to.
So it's still going to be at 18.1% starting July 1st?
It won't be 18.1 there. It will, we'll probably refigure that line item to be 15.3%, 15.5%, but we're still, the town's still gonna be paying a 2.4%. It'll just be paid, by the medical line,
You said
In the budget.
15.5 is what y'all are figure, or 50.4 is what you're gonna
Is
figure?
it 5 or 3?
okay, I'm sorry. what was the question?
15.3 or 15.5? Is what,
I'm trying to do it, we don't do exact of what's on that table.
uh-huh.
We.
But it'll be close to
we add
that?
a little teeny bit to it.
Then will you add on that, will it be plus that 2.4 that you
Not
pay
there,
separately?
But there'll be 2.4% needs to be added to each department in the medical line.
Gotcha.
So it's really, the
still-
2.4%
It's
doesn't go
moving
to
locations.
retirement, it goes to health
Yes,
insurance.
Yes, ma'am. It's just moving locations.
But it's still a 2 point,
It's still gonna be a
On top of all that.
2.4% mandate
Okay.
with state health plan, yes.
And the retirement is going up roughly 1%.
Yeah, because currently it's 14.48,
48, yeah.
and it'll be at 15.19.
All right, before we leave this department, of the 5 recommendations that we've heard, let's hear from some other council members about whether or not you support those or see it differently, or if there are other items.
I do have another item, another change that we have come about since the audit contract was approved by the LGC. The price on that audit contract, we put in the budget 20,000, and it actually is at 26,500. So there's another 6,500 that will have to be added to professional services for the audit. And that is the contract that y'all just approved at the last meeting, I think.
What was that amount again, Ms. Kim?
26,500.
Versus
I think
20,
it's in there as 20, yes, ma'am.
is that under contracted services?
It's under professional services.
Okay.
4120, 1900. Professional fees. So those are,
That's on page
those are the only
7
two
for y'all.
major
that-
changes.
Page
Page 7.
Yes.
There is one other comment I had skipped over, I just, as we were flipping through, noticed. I'd still like to get rid of COLA and have a 3% merit.
Could you say that again, please?
Eliminate the COLA and a maximum 3% merit.
On that, just a point of information, the organization that I'm aware, one organization that I'm aware of that does no COLA and does exclusively merit is the town of Apex, I believe, and they do, there's 5% merit, but one of the things that they also do is they do a market adjustment every couple of years. So they do a market analysis as far as jobs, so there is that adjustment that's done, based on the position. So that's just point of information, that's how one organization who does not do a COLA, they still make some market adjustments as well.
Will you read where we are, Mayor?
The last comment was to get rid of COLA and have a maximum of 3% merit. Well, we're still in the administration. And so again, the question to council, there have been, I think we're up to 6 recommendations that have been given by one council member. What do other council members think about those? Do you have different ideas, or do you support what has been stated?
I would like to hold the COLA merit, 401K, health increase stuff, and state retirement talks to the end, and keep moving forward with the budget talks.
Okay, so as stated by Councilman Bruton, is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Councilman Jackson?
I'd be okay with that.
Mayor Pro Tem Castleberry?
And which one is that you talking about?
Of what Councilman Bruton has shared.
Oh. The training part, I do not go along with. If anything, I think it needs to go up. Everybody has to be certified at some time or another. And I'm just saying year to year, I'm picking just 1 or 2 out or whatever. It's not gonna get, the training's not gonna be any cheaper to keep these certified people. And I hate to see that taken out. And I just wonder, we need to make sure everybody gets their training, ethics training and all that. I'd love to see everybody have to go to Chapel Hill or somewhere to a place when they have the ethics training and all that for new members coming on board. I think that's when we were put in our positions, we had to go to Charlotte, and it was aggravating. But when I got back, I'm so glad we went. So, I mean, the training part of it's got to be done. So,
What are your feelings about the 401K match? It was mentioned a moment ago, earlier, reduction from 6 cents to 4 cents.
yeah. We just,
That was reduced last year from 8 to 6.
yeah. We can't, I don't think we just need to keep taking away from the employees. They were hired, and they've already took one cut and cut them again. I would hate to do that.
Well, their salaries were increased by the reduction, so it was really not a net reduction.
Mayor, council, point of information regarding training. If council decides to not fund the human resource officer position, then that means the town would lose a certified human resource officer. So there's certainly, I would recommend that in that scenario, if we do not have a certified human resource officer, that there be funding for training for that. because that's a crucial position for training, to have
And
someone
that
else.
that is currently a part-time position, correct?
Yes, sir. Less than 20 hours a week.
And that's just putting out fires.
I think there could be some potential issues by cutting that myself.
Now, if we're talking about the positions, if we're, what is it, 4120, 1220, that line on page number 5, I agree. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Things were done that I don't think were done. We didn't agree with how some of the things were done. However, in my perspective, I don't have any trouble with doing away with that executive assistant position. But I believe that the part-time role that Miss Cynthia's fulfilling, I think she's doing a bang-up job in that, and whereas I don't have any problem with getting rid of, removing the executive assistant position. I'm not sure I want to do away with the job that Miss Cynthia is doing. And it wasn't, and I will say that this is all stuff that occurred before you guys did, but I think she's been doing a bang-up job, and me personally, I think we're getting our money's worth out of it. But one vote.
Question for clarification, Councilmember Jackson, in regards to, you made reference to the executive assistant position. I believe Councilmember Bruton referenced
The 1 day.
the one-day
Yeah.
position, not the other executive assistant 4-day or 3-day position.
That's correct.
Okay, for clarification, Councilman Eccles, where do you stand on the HR?
I agree that the way it was done is in reference to principle. I can understand what you're saying. And I'm just curious about the number of hours, like attending the meetings, and I feel that someone with your experience, and you have done an amazing job, are doing an amazing job, it still may be needed, maybe not as often. And so that's something maybe we can discuss. I'm not sure of the purpose of attending the meetings. I haven't really heard any HR stuff except for hiring the park staff. And so for me, if the majority vote is to eliminate it, I'm okay with that because of the way it was done, but if the majority vote is to keep it remaining, for me, I think there needs to be a decrease in the hours. The $9.99 makes it sound like infinity, and the meetings can cause those hours to increase substantially.
Councilmember Eccles, we'll be glad to provide some additional information about the meetings that the HRO attends on our behalf regarding personnel policy updates, personnel law updates, benefits through the League of Municipalities and other areas. There are a number of meetings that all of us, every staff member attends, that we don't give you
We're not aware of.
aware of every single meeting. I mean, that's not the point of the reports that we provide to council monthly. But if you have specific information as a one-time, as finance officer, assistant administrator mentioned, right now, the part-time HRO, yes, she's handling recruitment, and that is much more extensive, much more time-consuming than it was in the past, in part because of, you know, the background checks that we have to go through, and quite frankly, it's been very consuming of late. Getting people to respond to references has been extremely challenging. And so there's a certain amount of due diligence that she does that can be time consuming. But there are a lot of meetings where, you know, she you know, attends that's important information to have. It's by no means going just to go, but it's important information for us to have as an organization. And, you know, she, you know, schedules, you know, 2 days a week, but, you know, sometimes, you know, there's adjustments based on some of those meetings. And so it might be adjusted down the next week. But, you know, again, these meetings that she attends is not just, there's a purpose to attend those meetings, and there's value with the information that she brings back. So if you want more information, we can provide more information on meetings.
Councilman Eccles, were you talking about our meetings here in the House, or are you talking about meetings overall?
I was talking TC meetings,
TC.
Town
town council.
So you were saying that you don't feel like she needs to be here for a town council meeting?
I was inquiring because I've never really heard like an HR personnel report during our town council, except for the trying to hire park people.
I understood, and that's what I was saying, that she does attend a number of other meetings.
Right, but that we weren't aware of. So that's new information for me. That's
There
new.
is also a mandated state health plan that the HBR has to do every month. It's an hour long. It's a virtual. Sometimes it's not on a Monday or Tuesday when she's here. It may possibly be on a Wednesday, Thursday, or even the Fridays. So she has to sit in for them
Okay.
1 hour appointments.
Maybe I'm not quite understanding the question, but I think what's being said is instead of attending our meetings here, somebody could give reports on what is being done in HR instead of she has, well, we're paying her to be here in these meetings where we might just need to receive a report on what's going on in the HR arena, as opposed to occupying a Monday night for. Is that what it,
Yes,
am I stating that right? Okay.
yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
And on page 3, well, actually throughout the report, I'm noticing rounding and extra rounding, and some of those are excessive. And on page 3 was the first time it really caught my attention, the $590 rounding. By the time you get to page 10, we're at like $1,000 in rounding, over $1,000 in rounding up. That can be saved towards the end because that occurs throughout the entire report. The next thing I noticed was on page 10, under the contract services, it was 16 in our April draft and is 17 on the final draft that we're looking at now.
I'm sorry, which page or which line of?
Page 10,
The requested was 16.
under contracted services, right, it was 16. And I noticed the Edmonds Government Tech Finance was 1435, and in the final draft, it says 2435, and that's the $1,000 difference. Why did that increase? Did we get some update from NCLM?
Very possible. I'd have to go back and look at the reasoning.
You know, and just a general comment in regards to rounding. You know, general budget concept is to, you know, be conservative in your revenue projections, try to anticipate differences that may not be included. And so that's, has been a general principle that just to try to have a little bit of additional revenue to cover some unanticipated things, because things happen in every line item. And so it's certainly not, a desire for staff to pad things unnecessarily, but just to try to do our due diligence to prepare for unexpected expenses.
Well, not only unexpected expenses per line item, but also at the end of the year, it gives you an opportunity to have, some left over, that can be transferred to a fund balance or something of that, which is one reason why, we have the fund balance that we do. That was recommended to us very early on.
I agree with Frankie. I think there needs to be some rounding, and I like that it's always in the $50 or $100 range, but I think there are some that are excessive. I've just scanned it, looking on page 19, there's one that's $840. I think there's some that may be a little high.
All right, before we leave the subject entirely, Councilman Davis, where are you at on the HR position?
I'd like to keep the HR for one more year, see how it goes. The other one-day-a-week position, I'm okay with getting rid of if that's what the majority chooses to do.
All right, is there anyone, Mayor Pro Tem Castleberry expressed some concerns. Is there anyone that has concerns about the 401K match reduction?
I agree.
What was the recommendation again?
The recommendation read by Councilman Bruton was from 6 cents to 4 cents. Last year, we had reduced it from 8 to 6, and the recommendation is to reduce it again from 6 to 4.
I would recommend 5 just for the 401K.
As a match or just a contribution?
Just for contribution. Yeah, just contribution right now. Mr. Mayor, before we move, I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Are there 2 different health plan options for the state health plan? Is there like a plan A and a plan B?
There's actually 3. There's a 80/20, 70/30, and a
High
high
deductible.
deductible.
And the employees can choose from any one of those 3?
No, the organization as a whole picks which plan, and then all
Okay.
the employees
Gotcha.
go under that
Okay.
particular plan.
All right.
If that makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
On the 401K, me personally, I think I'm okay with what Councilman Davis said, but one of the things I would like at some point, and we're not going to do this tonight, I'm sure, but to give some assurance to our employees. At some point, I would like, if we hire somebody in at a particular point, to make these changes, this is my opinion, at some point, I would like to do this where we make these changes applicable to people that are onboarding, not people that are already on board. And that's not something we're going to handle tonight, but I don't know, I think that's something we ought to do, but I'm okay with the 5%.
I do know, in our personnel policy, it states that the contribution, if there is one, will be determined by council during the budget session. So it's in there that it's not definitive, that
Yeah.
it's fluctuate each year.
Yeah, and I,
I'd go along with that.
So I think what I hear you saying is that if you're hired after a certain date, these take precedent
yeah,
after that.
yeah, and that's not gonna be a thing we're gonna get handled tonight. Tonight, it's gonna be what it is. But what I would like to do is that,
Well, I would highly.
if you know that you're gonna get 4%, and and that's gonna be, and we're not gonna go below a 4%, then that helps you know something. And me personally, I think that that's something that we need to, I think we do need to get a handle on it at some point somehow. Where you are is, I don't like taking away from it. I'm not a huge fan of that, but, unless we have to at some point. And I think on our budget, we're at a point where we're in a kind of a gray area on it, but I would like to give the employees some sort of assurance that it's not at least going to, our contribution to it is going to decrease. Now, it might be a matching thing or something like that, or up to, or something along those lines, but at least give them the option of having something, a floor, I guess is the words I'm looking for.
I would make the recommendation, if that were a consensus of the board, that what you can do, because we are in the process of looking at our personnel ordinance now, so this would be the perfect time. What you could say is that anyone hired after or anyone hired before this date, this is what the contributions will be. And that would distinguish the before and the after.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. I don't think that's a discussion we need to have tonight. I think it would drag us out way too long. For me, tonight, I'm okay. I'm fine with the 5%, as Councilman Davis said, but I do think it's a discussion we need to have at some point to, I just think it's a discussion we need to have at some point.
I agree. I think for continuity, again, you want to attract and retain, and maintain competitiveness as well. So,
Mayor and Council, I just want to highlight and reference the memo I sent to you on June 2nd regarding employee benefits comparison of like-sized municipalities. This was information that we received from the League of Municipalities, so it does acknowledge that currently the 401K is higher than average, but there are other benefits that are considered as fairly standard in municipalities of our size. And so, there's kind of a give and take there that, there are certain benefits that the town of Archer Lodge employees don't have that other towns have. And that's somewhat offset by the 401K match. But if council is looking to reduce the 401K, you may want to consider looking at some of these other benefits that other municipalities provide, as the mayor suggested, to be competitive in the market.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
go ahead.
For the state health insurance, the town selected this year, which option was it for next year, I mean?
In the proposed budget, 80/20, which is what we,
Now, does that 80/20 cover family members too?
no, that's just employee.
Just the
only.
employee?
Only,
So the employee picks up the cost of, if any, dependents
dependents or
Okay.
family.
And that if we were to make any changes, I don't think it should be made until the beginning of the year, because this year's already set. Open enrollment is in October, and the plan period ends in December. So it would start back over in January.
Okay.
State health plan runs January to December. Why? I don't know, because all state government, all over government does fiscal year, July
Except
1
that.
to June 30th. So we don't know what those premiums are going to be for January until they meet. It's coming up. August?
It came out in August last year.
think it is in August.
Because that, I found the presentation was August of last year.
Their board of directors will meet and set the premium that will start January 1. So we have to kind of estimate half of it, a good half of it for the upcoming, for the calendar year start.
Mayor, I have one more question.
Go ahead.
On page 11, I just have a question about under Department Administration, the split over 2 fiscal years. The amount is 4525. We're paying the entire amount up front instead of splitting it this year, 26? Because if something occurs and they don't perform like they're supposed to, or we need a refund, or they go out of business, we've paid them up front for 2 years. I was just curious if it says split over 2 fiscal years, should that amount only be 2262 for this fiscal year? We have to pay.
I can speak on it if that's all right. So yeah, it's split, the 4562 number you see, that is the startup cost. So that the startup cost is 4525 divided by 2. So this year and next year we're going to pay 2,262. Then in addition to that, we're going to pay the $2,300 year 1 fee that will increase 5% every year. And so the 4562 number you see is inclusive of both of the numbers. And the way we did that is we bargained with them and asked if we could do that. That way we didn't have to pay, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but close to $8,000 the first year. So it was to kind of level the playing field so we weren't having such a big jump the first year. But it'll actually be cheaper in the long run if we switch to Civic. iCompass is more expensive, and they both increase at a 5% rate each year, and the rate that Civic has offered versus the rate we already pay for iCompass is lower.
Oh, okay, thank you, Ben.
A lot of vendors will work with municipalities and the one-time fees, they'll split it over a 2-year period. We've had that, and then also too, a lot of their annual subscription rates will always have like a 5% increase.
All right, next, just for clarification, it was spoken earlier about removing or getting rid of COLA and have a maximum 3% merit for annual increase. Councilman Jackson, what are your feelings on that?
I was okay with that.
Councilman Davis?
I'd like to see it at 4, but I'm not against getting rid of COLA. You know.
Because just because you have it at a maximum of 3 doesn't mean everybody's going to get 3. I think it should be higher than that myself. Councilman Echols?
I agree. The no COLA 3%.
Mayor Pro Tem Castleberry?
I agree.
you agree with getting rid of the COLA and having a maximum of 3%?
Again, Mayor, council, just want to reiterate that if that's what council chooses, then I would recommend as administrator that the town would take a market analysis on a regular basis to make sure that we are consistent and competitive in the market.
I do think that is something that should be addressed.
And that was not funded, as you're aware, with the current personnel policy update. Council considered doing a market analysis at that time, but chose not to. But that if this passes as is, as has been discussed, then you may want to reconsider that.
Okay. Of any of these proposals, Ms. Kim, is there any clarification that's needed on any of those points?
I just would request or recommend that a follow-up email comes to staff with clarity and direction on exactly what needs to be done.
Okay, so the way I look at it, or what I have written down, is the 2 part-time positions, the one-day executive assistant position to be eliminated, and then, but the HR to be retained. It seemed to be consensus on the 401K for 5% contribution. I have training from 5,000 to 4,000. I think the small equipment and furnishings possible duplication is going to take care of itself. The health insurance cost share, did we finalize or get a consensus on that?
What page was that? The health insurance. What page was that on?
Which page was that on, Councilman Bruton? That was your proposal.
Yeah.
6.
Is it 6? I got, yeah, okay, it's medical dental vision. Yes, she's right, it's page 6.
6.
And repeating your proposal?
It was really following what the state does, since expenses are going up so much, and it's, for the standard PPO plan, it's based on, the employee contribution is based, oh, excuse me, hold on a minute. On the employee salary, it ranges from 35 to 80, for the 80/20, from 66 to 160, and it's basically, the state is paying just a standard 742 for each employee. So that would be, what the town would pay would be the 742, and then the employee pays the other based on salaries.
And is that per month? Is that per month?
Yeah. And I've got a little chart that divides it. It's under 50,000, 50,000 to 65,000, 65 to 90, and then over 90, are the different ranges for the different amounts.
All right, is there anything else in administration before we move on?
Mayor, I would just suggest, I know Councilmember Bruton made that suggestion. I'm not sure if each council member provided their position on that.
Okay, Councilman Jackson?
So I'm going to, this maybe sound like a cop-out on this, but I'm going to defer to folks that have to worry about insurance. Mine's done through DOD, and I'm really babe in the woods when it comes to most folks' insurance. So I'm going to defer to what folks that have to deal with it think about it.
Councilman Davis?
I'm for it. I'd like to I would like that to be in next year's budget. Or I'd like for us to take that up next year. I am for some sort of cost share though.
Well, remember, this wouldn't really go into effect until next year. So there's an opportunity even to look for different policies out there. Because the first 6 months, like I said, that this plan year is not going to end until December.
But they wouldn't be able to look through.
And, I'm sorry, I just, point of information, you know, once you're with the state health plan, you can't leave the state health
Leave.
plan.
Oh, really? You,
No, forever.
You're committed forever, yes, ma'am.
are
You
you,
can't put it back out to bid.
okay, are you committed to the 80/20, or can you go to 70/30?
I think you can choose.
You can switch which
different
one's in
plans.
there.
We just can't leave the health plan.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you're locked in.
Like I said, to me, it's this much, just, I know people have come up to me talking about, they've had to cancel their health insurance, residents of Archer Lodge, because they can't afford it anymore. And I know even as a retiree from the state, I'm on the 80/20, and my premium has gone up for the last couple of years.
I'd like to recommend that, that we keep it as is and have staff look at options as if they choose, if the town chooses to go with, or staff chooses to go with one of the lesser plans, that we come up with a cost share, or if they go with a higher choice, we come up with some type of cost share. Because some insurances, if you have the 80/20, or like the higher base plan, you pay a little more out of your pocket, whereas the lower base plan might be paid for completely.
Well, even just the, 80/20 versus 70/30.
Yeah.
So you're
So
70/30.
something for us to look at next time. Keep what we have right now.
Okay, so sound like we're still split. Councilman Eccles?
I would like some additional information. As far as fiscal year, the current plan ends in December, correct? And so cost sharing would actually take place in January of 2027?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that gives a full year to prepare. And in August, the options become, enrollment opens up to see what the options are. And
October. is open,
October.
But the new premium would be probably in August. That's when it was last year, when they increased everything.
To be effective January 1st,
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a full year, you're just talking from
6 months.
6 months.
Oh, correct. Okay, that's right, correct.
But you decide in open enrollment what plan you choose.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Castleberry, what are your thoughts on the insurance?
I think we need to find out the difference in what the people pay in the 80/20 and the 70/30 before we make a decision. Because everything in this world is going up. And I want our people to be able to go to the doctor and get taken care of, but also, we're trying to save money, but I understand all that, but, it's, I'd like to put this aside till after July 1st, and let's go through it and see where we can go and come up with what we come up starting in January.
Okay. Anything else before we leave administration? All right.
I would like to mention, and I think everybody's aware that revenues have got to equal expenditures, so whatever happens in the expenditures will also have to take place in the revenue side. So, we won't until these changes are done, I don't know how will it affect any appropriation to fund balance, any transfers to reserves that is in the proposed, or what kind of revenue will.
Yeah.
Offset.
It will be offset with it.
Yeah.
So just kind of, I mean,
There-
keep
there
that
may-
back ahead.
There may need to be some other minor things to make sure that the revenues and expenditures
Matt,
balance.
yeah. I mean, I'd like whatever reduction we come up with reduces the tax rate is kind of my goal.
I think that's kind of the ultimate goal.
But again, we may not have that number tonight, is basically what we're saying.
Oh, we're trying, yeah, you're going to have to do some number crunching.
All right. Tax collection fees are pretty much done for us. Any changes in legal attorney? Okay. About public buildings? Any questions or concerns there?
I know we had some conversations last time about the Wi-Fi out at the park, and if we needed it, and then I noticed that a lot of security cameras have been added from what the draft showed, which I think they need some consideration of staying or leaving. Because I think, Michael, you had
Was
some
it-
concern.
was that not taken out?
No, it's still the town park Wi-Fi, and then there's security cameras. If you look on page 18, and on 19, it's also talking about security cameras and server for the town park.
Could staff elaborate on that, please?
Let's see, I know, I believe we got some updated numbers, correct?
We did get an updated number on Wi-Fi. They changed the type of plan. They went from like a Plan A to a different design that is less costly. Plus, the whole intentions of the restroom facility number 2 was to accommodate vending machines, and it was built for that purpose. It's got the cutout holes for vending machines that will be cashless, has to have Wi-Fi to operate. And then we've had an incident at the park that staff, as well as been recommended by a council member, that we need to, cameras at the park for security, which has to have Wi-Fi as well.
And Chris can provide some information. He recently attended a Johnson County Athletic Association meeting, and one of the items of discussion involved the pickleball courts that other jurisdictions have had, those pickleball courts are widely used in other jurisdictions, and it does create some challenges from time to time, and there have been security issues at some of those parks, just in regard, because it's so popular and, everybody wants to use them, but there have been some issues there, and so, yes, we did try to find some cost efficiencies where we came from, and if the council, decides to move forward and not have it there, that's certainly, your prerogative, but we wanted to provide some additional updated information about the service and the prices and, some of the other issues that revolve around the use of the park and the safety there, but also, because the pickleball courts are so widely used, and we anticipate, a lot of activity there. There are going to be a lot of people in that jurisdiction, in that area of the park. And I know they, would certainly prefer to have Wi-Fi, But, again, we're just trying to provide some updated information for council.
I think the security cameras is a very valid point, particularly in that back section. One thing we don't want is we don't want somebody out there doing donuts on that field. And potentially, security cameras, could help deter a certain amount of that, one would hope. But at least, if we could get information to provide law enforcement if they're in the event there were, hopefully that could deter a repeat of such. But I think it's a very valid thing to have the security cameras, out there.
When is the fence that's going to be parallel to Steeler Lane going to be finished? Because I know there was a thought that putting that up would eliminate or at least, prevent people from accessing the park when it's closed because you've got that
It's
fence.
approximately about 80% done. So there were some trees in close proximity that we were looking to potentially move because they're very close to the line, and try to put the fence very close to the line as well. Chris and I met with a landscape contractor last week, and his suggestion was maybe to go around it so that we wouldn't have to move the trees and have that expense. So I know Chris is trying to work with the sign contractor to get that last 20% done. Certainly, that will assist us to control access to the park. The fence contractor also put a little bit of section at the gate so that it would be less likelihood that somebody tries to go around the gate to enter into the park after hours. But the security concern is not just about after hours, it's during the hours of operation as well. And so certainly, things can happen during the day or hours of operation. And like I said, I think, the pickleball courts in many locations become, one of the most popular attractions. There's going to be a lot of people there. The people are going to be waiting and spending time on their phones during that time, but also because of security back there, just suggesting that this cheaper alternative may be something that council wants to consider.
Plus also, some of the one-time fees would be funded by the grant funds, and they're diminishing. So while we still have them, staff highly recommends going ahead and moving with phase 2 of the Wi-Fi.
Just to piggyback off a couple of things that Mr. Boone as well as Mr. Kenneth mentioned, if you want to get into the park, you're going to be able to get into the park. We're not 100%, I guess.
You're trying to keep honest men honest.
Correct. And again, even with the fencing that we have added to both Stiller Lane and both entrances on the main gate as well as the west side, you're still going to be able to get in if that's what you want to do. But this right here kind of prohibits, I guess, the intention of you wanting to do that. And when it comes to pickleball, again, we don't have pickleball yet, but we're getting pickleball. And just talking with other towns in Johnston County that do have it, you're either going to add security cameras to protect yourself, or you're going to add staffing to protect yourself. You're going to have to choose one of the two, especially at the maximum times where people are playing. Clayton has opted to add staffing during their peak times. We may not be in that fortunate to do that, so security cameras may be that option for us. And again, just through scheduling and timing, peak hours are going to be pretty much in time. Again, if you go out there to the Clayton courts, they are going from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And you have citizens knocking at the door asking to go to midnight. So again, it's going to be a decision where you're either going security cameras or staffing to help out.
Are they going to reserve those courts, or is it first come, first serve?
That's up to us to, I guess, to dictate. For the most part, most towns in Johnston County, it's a first come, first serve. But what we can do to kind of make sure everyone gets a chance to play is schedule with the scheduling where we're saying with seniors, this demographic of seniors are playing from 8 to 11, nobody else can play, or it's open play for any demographic from 12 to 4, we can kind of control it that way, as well as putting the time limit, doing individual time limits on each court, where you say, well, there's a timeout there, you have an hour for each court.
Be interested to know what Nightdale does. Rarely do I ever pass their park and not see people playing with obvious groups waiting. I mean, it's like next, right? And every time I pass, I could probably count on one hand in the last year and a half, because I purposely go that way when I'm going to Nightdale. I like to look at it. And I'm probably count on one hand, and they might have even been bad weather days. Weather wasn't, maxed out, folks playing. It'd be interesting to see.
I mean, and we did, Nightdale was kind of our inspiration
Yeah.
for our pickleball courts.
Yeah.
I can say is that they staff as well as have cameras
Yeah.
at those pickleball courts that you're talking about.
And that one is right on the road. I mean, you can easily see it. My like I said, that's where I keep coming back, is the location. Depending on what you drive and where you're sitting, you can't see it from the road. I mean, there's a rise there. It's a hidden area. I think it behooves us to strongly consider having security cameras, if we're not going to, have staff. And I think the security cameras, that would be the 24-hour, version. So
And
I think that would
they
be
have their facility, they have their main Parks and Rec facility right there by the pickleball courts.
Yeah.
As well as their staffing them probably throughout the duration of the day as well.
We've been very fortunate, but with that recent event, I mean, and I know the community center over the years have had events of vandalism, that's concerning. A lot of money gets spent to have something nice, and it's a shame that you have to put up with that. But if you don't have cameras, it really limits you into, what you can do. Right?
Quick question, Kim, the laying of the wiring and the router extenders, those are covered by the grant, correct? Like the installation portion of Wi-Fi?
Hopefully. That was what staff was planning.
And so you guys are getting quotes for the actual cameras or different quotes for Wi-Fi? Because we're already a Spectrum customer, correct?
We're Spectrum here. We are Spectrum out at the park, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
The cameras, I'm not so sure that would be Spectrum.
That's what we can get different quotes on, different cameras?
It would probably be with Lightwire or Stone Security, who does the security here.
There are some benefits to, maintaining
Bundling.
relationships with, certain vendors that we developed that long-term relationship with. Instead of putting everything out to bid, having that contact is important as well.
So are they competing for a better bid for the security cameras and security out at the park?
We're certainly looking at multiple options and trying to get the best value.
So that's still pending then?
Yes. But, that, as Kim mentioned earlier, part of that also includes dealing with that one vendor to look at other options that could provide cost savings as well.
Mr. Mayor, I'm against extending Wi-Fi down to the multi-use field and the pickleball courts at this time. I am for getting some cameras out there, but up near where we currently have Wi-Fi.
So you do not want it the furthest away where it
Not
cannot
at
be
this time,
viewed.
though.
Councilman Jackson, do you feel the same? I feel the time to do it is up front, and we're fixing to get very busy back there. In my opinion, it would be a lost opportunity, and, but I've already, shared that.
So when will the pickleball courts be up and operating, and
Then it makes $3 definitely.
I'm sorry, say
Within the
that,
next 3 months, definitely
within the
by
next
fall.
3 months.
September, if not before.
Needs to cure in line, right? And net, put a net. Will there be fence, I assume there'll be some fencing
Yes.
around it as well?
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
And a canopy and some seating area.
Good.
3 months on that. I think maybe for now, I think we can hold off for now. Until we see, yeah, I think we can hold off for now. That'd be something we might,
What did it cost to fix that window?
Do we have a price on that?
No, he hasn't gotten me a quote back yet. He was waiting on to order the actual individual stone, so I can follow up to make sure if that's happened, but he was supposed to contact.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be, you could probably pay that camera fee for several months for what that window cost.
Well, there's actually two that we need to replace. There was one cracked on the bottom and then the one that the rocks.
I'd like to remind council that there's ample enough internet access out there and camera availability for them to put cameras out there and still see some of the road down to the pickleball courts. So I'm not against getting some, but I don't believe we need it all the way down there right now.
And Mark, what were you saying, hold off on both or one or,
on the cameras,
yes?
I'm talking about holding off on the cameras. And the Wi-Fi too, I don't know, the jury's out on me on that, and I don't see any reason to spend any money when I'm not sure it's needed on that, and, so I'm gonna say hold off for just a little bit on that, for both.
I think we do need cameras. That's why I'm inquisitive about the suppliers and the bidders that we are getting, who may have cameras that have Zoom technology. So if we unanimously decide not to put some down there, all the way down there, if someone can offer some that still has quality vision that can zoom in and you can still see, because if we've already had 2 cracks, was one just based on installation, poor quality, and one was vandalism, or?
We're not sure. Again, I can't give you a 100% answer on either one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we need to protect our investment.
Correct.
Well, and, I'm not sure if I know technology advances quite a bit, but as far as a camera at the playground or restroom facility, being able to pick up activity at the pickleball courts, you're going through trees, forest right there, woods right there.
And you might can potentially say is it's 2 people or 3, but
I don't think
identifying
that's a realistic
anything.
expectation.
I know that over the years at the community center, I don't know how many times the water fountain on the outside and even things inside the bathroom has been beaten up and broken and things, and
We spent a good amount this budget year
yeah.
replacing things.
yeah, we've spent some things there too. And, if, had there been a camera underneath that canopy, certainly we're not talking about inside, but to being able to see who's going in and out and what time, that could.
There are a couple of dummy cameras.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if you've noticed them.
They're dummy cameras, and they've been worth their weight, which is 0.
And certainly, when you set up a camera, it has to be set to go to a certain spot. And so it's focused on that spot. You know, other areas that, so for instance, I know, you know, some fire departments will have cameras at intersections that can zoom in, but then you've got an operator that's doing that zoom, not just,
Yeah.
you know, so that's additional cost there if you're gonna staff somebody to watch cameras all day long.
Yeah. Councilman Casper, what's your opinion on that?
I just think that if we're gonna keep spending and putting things down there and not gonna protect them, I don't see any need to keep doing things. If they get on that field and tear that field up, spinning donuts out there like they do on that circle down there at the end, and they get all out in the grass and dirt, that needs to be stopped too.
And hopefully with a camera, you'd get a license plate or make
Yeah,
and
but-
model of the car, et cetera.
If they're on,
Have something to go by.
if they get on that field somehow with a vehicle and they start doing that and tear up irrigation pipe and heads and everything else, I mean, how much are we willing to spend over that? And I'm like Matt, I mean, we done the basketball course out here at the community center years ago. And it's funny how we put the lights up there and you could put $1 in there and play for an hour. And you turn around and you're replacing 5 or 6 bulbs. Cause they've thrown rocks up there and knocked them out, you know. And it's just, I just think we got too much invested in it not to take a look at it, what's going on.
I will say that the multipurpose fields are gonna be getting fencing and netting on both ends. So if there's gonna be any digging or any construction, the time is, like the mayor said up front, is best.
It is.
Yeah.
Will that fencing be on the roadside? Like, if you're going down and
The
you got,
parking lot side?
yeah, the parking lot
Yes.
side?
So the fencing's gonna be on all 4 sides, the netting will be on the ends.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Correct.
didn't know what,
Correct.
you talking about the fencing or you talking about the Wi-Fi?
No, the fencing.
The fence will be
It'll
on
be
all
all
4
on
sides.
four.
Chain link fencing?
Yes, black chain link
Okay.
fencing. We're waiting on the black chain link.
Okay. That'll help keep people off the field driving.
Hopefully.
But as Chris stated, I mean, if somebody wants to be out there,
Oh, yeah.
they're gonna find a way.
There's a gate to it. There's a gate to it. The battery-powered grinder will take care of most any lot very quickly, and unfortunately, they're very widely available. All right. Contracted services, page 19.
Just, Mayor, I don't know if Ms. Bruton provided opinion on that.
Oh, I agree with just holding off on it. I mean, I'm just sitting here looking for the cameras themselves. It's $2,300 a month, which I'm kind of torn like Mark is, because I see a need to protect, but that seems $1,800 a month just for the pavilion. And then another $500 is a little steep.
Before we progress along too far, if we could go back to page 17, on the water and the sewer. And it may be just something that maybe I'm missing on it, but we've got 6,000 in the admin recommended. Again, maybe I'm just, are we expecting,
We're adding additional bathrooms.
and we're expecting that much of an additional?
The park maintenance building is gonna have a restroom as well on the west side.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So I guess to follow up on that or piggyback, the part restroom 1 and 2 on the requested, it was 1,800 and now it's 3,900. What was the reason for that big jump?
The second facility plus what I just mentioned at the west side.
But it originally was 1,800.
So we did a little bit of more, not more than double, a little less than double.
Is that for Johnson County water, or is that for electricity?
Water.
For Johnson
On
County,
that particular
for like a Johnson County tap water, like,
Water, yes, sir.
water.
and do we not have a well on the,
We have a well for the fields. That's
For
just-
irrigation.
That's the
Irrigation.
Irrigation system.
so why would they not be using that well water for the bathrooms?
It's, I mean, we're within the water district. I mean, I believe, have to do that. I'm not sure if that well is rated for bathroom use, but that was before my time, so.
Well, we pay for, it waters the fields, it'd be good water to use for bathrooms.
Again, I'd have to do research. I wasn't involved in that project.
I'd like for us to look into that.
Certainly.
I do
It's
know that
not-
would be additional.
Not every home,
Taps have gone way.
Yeah, the tap's already in there, so, I mean.
Well, I understand
that's
that,
already been made.
but-
So we'd have to replicate what was done, so there'd be additional cost to tap into that, in that well.
The biggest uses is going to be irrigation, so that's what the original design was for.
I'm sorry, did I miss the reason for the jump? Because in the April report, April draft, the same restrooms are listed under the 1,800 and now they're 3,900.
I think we did that because of possible water prices going up and adding the 2 additional,
They're,
as she stated.
they're listed here though.
Yeah, it's the same description.
Same Description. And it doubled.
I know but when we had their last meeting, I asked for an additional, in case water prices go up.
It could have been an oversight on the original figures back then.
I thought it was like 2,500 though,
We went
is
up
what we
to
went to.
4,500. It was 39 and we went up
For the
to.
water?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
went
okay,
up to
so yeah, that was the
45.
increase, yeah.
Yeah, so
So it shouldn't be that
it
then.
shouldn't be that high, right?
Right.
It should be 4,500 total, not 6,000 total.
It's below that. You can't see it, but it says it right there. Yeah, it's listed there.
So instead of 3,900, it would be 2,400 to equal the 4,500 we discussed in April. That second line, instead of 3,900, it should be 2,400 to make up for the increase.
I will say, when we start this project, it's February, March, and so figures and, are not always
We're human.
what they're gonna be.
We're
Because you
humans,
still
they're not
have
always
months
perfect.
To add to it, so that's why it's subject to change. And I do know, now that we're in public buildings, I will tell you, the electric, is probably gonna be, right much higher. Because we're getting the, when they've gone out there to move the power overhead to underground, on the west side, they're starting to do inventory. And, for some reason, they didn't have our parking lot lights from phase 1 and phase 2 in our bill, and so now they're being billed, so electric is going up. Plus, we're adding 4 more additional park lights and the west side parking lot. That'll be 4 lights there. So I know that line item is going to be increased. At this time, I just can't tell you what it's going to be because there's 4 new lights are not up yet. I don't think Duke's finished doing what they're supposed to do.
Mayor and council, in consideration of time, staff can look at the water and sewer and incorporate that into the revised numbers.
Okay. All right, have we talked about contracted services? Anybody have any questions about that?
On page 19.
Page 19.
Me, personally, I don't think we need to resurface our parking lot just yet. That's me personally.
Do you recall how long ago it was that we had that, or has it been resurfaced since it was built? I didn't think it had. I mean, we've already got cracks out there.
It hadn't been done since the addition. When the addition was done is when they come back and
Okay.
resurface this.
That is a ball you don't want to kick too far down the road. I know a business that did that and still paying for it.
I'd like to do it next year.
I think
Next fiscal
having
year.
a plan for how often, to talk with someone, about that and knows more about it than I do, but to have a plan that where it's done every so many years. That is a reoccurring thing that you do not want to get behind on. And looking at the parking lot now, I'm afraid we're getting close to that point.
We may, and like Councilman Davis just said, I don't think we need it this year. And maybe if we look, year by year, look at it, but to me, it's not that bad. And so I don't think it's an expense we need to incur currently. But that's just my opinion.
I would like to, when me and Glenn are riding around, I'd like to bring him up here. He retired from C.C. Mangum, doing asphalt and all, 45 years. And he could tell us when to do that, because his son is doing small stuff now, but somewhere else. But he could tell us how long we got before we can do this.
Yeah.
Not have to pay double or triple.
Clarification, Councilmember Davis, maybe I misunderstood what your comments. I thought you were saying you were advocating for doing that work in the upcoming budget year.
Next fiscal year, sorry.
Not for
Not
this
this
budget.
budget.
Not next fiscal year, but the following year.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, sir.
I thought, in our previous meeting, we mentioned that a grant paid for some paving. I didn't put the year, but it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
I'm not aware of any grant that pays for paving.
Unless it was in reference to the park.
I mean, the park,
And that's going to be some more asphalt that we're going to have to get on a maintenance schedule.
yes, sir.
And, because there's a lot of square footage of asphalt out there.
Yes, sir.
And we definitely don't, again, you get behind,
When I-
you're paying a lot more, for that.
Well, now, that might be something, because I suspect that asphalt out there is going to take more abuse than what the asphalt here is going to take. but when it comes that time, maybe look to put the both of them on the same schedule, and there may be a, economy of scale kind of thing. I know they've still got to transport all the stuff over here and that kind of thing, but that might, I don't know, maybe that's something we can look at that time.
And Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if we're necessarily, are we looking at treatment or resurfacing? I thought it was just like a tar treatment and painting, not a full.
Like a ceiling,
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
I think that's what we're looking at, not a full resurfacing.
Yeah. But you put off ceiling, too long,
Yeah.
then you're talking about other
But,
options.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's gonna be a while before that's needed at the park.
Sure, but, and I'm just saying that eventually sometime we could maybe look on getting them on the same kind of schedule. Because I think the park would need it on a shorter cycle than what we would need it here. But now admittedly, this has got some years on it already. And it may not be something we can do right away, but just something in the future. But I don't think it needs anything just yet.
I mean, the original line item in the draft budget was 25,000 based on, the estimate that Mike was able to obtain. It was reduced to 13,000. So 13,000, to maintain, the parking lot, and do the required maintenance on it. 13,000 next year, or probably substantially more if it's not maintained properly.
So where it says security cameras and server for town park, is this a duplication with this 6,000?
Possibly. I'd have to go back and look. Regarding the estimate on the parking lot out here, to clean parking lot and apply 2 coats liquid asphalt sealer, includes applying crack fill to cracks a 1/4 inch or larger and repainting pavement markings.
And I would certainly suggest that that's needed. At some point, it will need, additional asphalt.
Yeah, and I know it was, and I know it will eventually. I just don't think it needs it yet. It may or may not surprise, but I was responsible for a parking lot many, many moons ago for about 20 years. And I don't think we're at that point yet. A parking lot that had to have tanks and things like that roll across it, and they put a whole lot of abuse on it. And I just don't think we're at the point now where it's something that's required just yet. We can look at it year by year, but I just don't think it's something we require this year.
I could agree with pushing it off to next budget.
I agree.
All right, page 20. Anybody have any issues on page 20?
Mr. Mayor, I had one more question on 19. Sorry. Is the 6,000 for the security cameras going to be removed? Did we?
We put that as possible duplication, which
Okay.
staff is going to look into.
Okay, thank you.
Page 20, any questions?
Yeah, that'd be a monthly.
I think that was a monthly charge, whereas the other one was the installation. Maybe?
Probably not.
The other one was a monthly
It
charge.
very, could be a possibility of duplication.
Yeah, let's review that. All right, here, nothing on page 20, page 21. right, video programming on page 22. That's the East Wake TV, so that's to pass through. Public safety, page 23. Contracted services, the fire department's pretty much set. Page 24, contracted services, law enforcement and animal control.
I have a question. When was this line item added to the budget? Do y'all know what year?
The,
The sheriff, reversing Johnson County Sheriff's Department.
I don't, that's some time ago, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
don't-
it's been in
it's
there
been
for a while.
It appears on 2023, according to the columns. In 2022, it's showing that it was 2,000, and then the next year, 200,000.
All right,
I think we had the line item, well, long before that, but we didn't contribute much to it or even,
Or was that animal control previously?
but
Oh,
that's
animal control
been,
separate, I'm sorry.
but that's been some time ago, so
we've been putting money aside for that purpose for a while. To offset, you know, a rubber band effect should that ever needed. All right, page 26, Public Works.
Down to the road signs and banners. If I remember right, those banners are changed 4 times a year. Do you know the cost to change them? Because I've asked some people about it. Nobody knows what banners I'm talking about when I ask them if they like the banners or have they noticed them. So I'm just curious if we need them, or do we need to change them 4 times a year?
Do I know the cost for that?
Yeah, because I think you mentioned they're changed quarterly.
Well,
Or with the
it depends
seasons.
on the season.
Yeah, with the seed, yeah.
And then we've gotten some, there's some Christmas ones, or holiday ones.
Yeah.
They're done.
I think my understanding from staff is that the town in the past chose to do that. You know, currently, we do not have any entrance signs at any of the entranceways, and that was one way to, you know, kind of brand the community a bit, and then celebrate certain things like not only winter holidays, but also, you know, Memorial Day, July 4th, and so forth. So just as a way to help build the community.
Identity.
Identity, thank you.
But do you know how much it costs per switch out?
The boom truck.
Well, yeah, they own the boom truck, and so I'd have to go back and look at invoices.
And I mean, there's the service, but also, I mean, occasionally we have to replace a couple here and there, and so sometimes we have to have that cost as well.
They get weathered just like our flags do.
Yeah, the sun beats them down.
They do, there's a replacement for it. I've heard from 2 or 3 individuals that actually requested some in front of their house.
We get
One
calls
of
on
them spoke at a public comment.
Yes, she did.
Here a meeting or 2 ago.
that wanted them at her house, you said?
No, was asking one if one could be put in front of her house.
Oh.
Yep. All right,
But for me, that was one of the things I was looking to eliminate.
Just eliminate entirely?
But, and I do understand their purpose, and I think they're pretty. But I'm just not sure with with the earfuls that I've been catching, if it's something I want to spend money on. But again. I'm just-
Anyone else feel that same way?
I'd like to see it eliminated, but I would like to take some of that money and purchase another mobile radar sign, so we can purchase 2 this coming fiscal year instead of 1.
Councilman Eccles on the banners.
Well, I like having something permanent where we would not have to go use a boom machine, because I think most of the cost is probably the boom machine, unless someone's doing that complimentary. If we could get something permanent, and then it wouldn't have to be switched out, it could last for several years, something that's weather. I love the old school hometown feel, so I don't mind having a sign, but it should be $12,000. And I was also curious about the mobile radar, because other towns have those solar machines, so instead of getting like a full mobile machine, I don't know if you all have ever left Clayton, crossed over the railroad tracks, headed towards Archer Lodge, and they have the radar machines on the trees. They're not $5,000, and you can put a card in those and collect data as well. So I'd rather we look into some options instead of spending $5,000, which would be $10,000 on 2 machines.
In regards to permanent signs, what did you have in mind?
What
I mean,
size?
You suggested permanent signs instead of banners? Are you suggesting entrance signs, or what other type of permanent?
A banner, an outdoor weather, a banner that could weather like multiple years instead
I mean,
of
they-
the clothy ones.
I mean, the banners we have, they last multiple years. We don't replace them all. I mean, and that's part of the reason why they're rotated, because they'll last longer that way as well. I don't know what the life expectancy is, but, I don't.
We've had them banners
What, a few years,
10 years.
They still look
15.
good?
somewhere there about.
Been a
quite few.
while. Some of them have been replaced.
Yeah.
Now, I do like the idea of well, I still slow down because I still imagine that flashers there, but I do kind of like the idea of getting another radar sign of some sort, whether it's put up on a post or a tree, or if it's a mobile one. If the permanent ones are less expensive, I don't know, all the approaches to town, if we had one that was less expensive, or a place that we had a concern about, we could put one permanent to let folks know they need to slow down. I'm not adverse to that at all.
Features is another thing too. You can get what you pay for, right? One with the counter, talking about how many instances above, a speed limit and that type of thing, so that we could hopefully, ask Highway Patrol or the Sheriff's Department to put more emphasis on a particular area at a particular time of day. I think that would be pretty important
Yeah.
to keep.
But then Frankie, didn't you say the one that they have in Clayton that
They
collects
collect
information?
We can certainly look at options.
Yeah.
One thing that we don't have that Clayton has is right of way. The town does not own
Oh, right.
streets.
That's right.
So, we're working with property owners now, because a lot of times, even if it's in the right of way, it's along their property, and a lot of times, property owners may, cut grass. They don't stop
Yeah.
at the utility line, they go on towards the street.
Right.
So just out of courtesy, we're providing that information. Certainly, if we were to try to install something on a permanent basis, we would need to get an easement, from that, rather than just a verbal okay, or a letter authorizing temporary use. So there would be probably some cost to permanent location. As far as erecting on DOT signs, I'm not sure what their policy would be with that. I know, I have seen some of those smaller signs on town roads in certain towns when the town had town-maintained roads. But again, we don't have any town-owned roads. Do you have some information to bring?
Yeah, this is something we had looked into 2 or 3 months ago, and I spoke with Jason Grantham just to see if we would be able to put those permanent signs on already existing speed limit signs, and he said that's a possibility, and this was a couple months ago, so I don't remember all the details, but I do remember there was some sort of process. It wasn't an easement, but there was some sort of form process we had to go through to make sure that DOT was fine with us putting technology on their signs. But the equipment exists. It's just a matter of going through the right channels with DOT. But I'm not sure how long that process would take.
Could staff look into that? And have
Most
that?
definitely. Be glad to.
They will be here next week, so we can have this discussion.
Yeah, we can ask them.
Okay.
All right, any additional questions on page 26? All right, page 27, that's installation of streetlights. Any questions there? Page 28, plan and zoning development. Page 29 is the same department. So is 30. Basically benefits that have already been talked about. Anything on page 32?
I know we kind of talked a little bit about training and meetings, but the requested from the draft version was 5,000, and I recall the consensus for town council was to reduce that to 3,000, but it didn't get changed. It remained 5,000. Page 32.
Yep.
So during that discussion, I highlighted additional training that I was suggesting for Jason with that,
Thank you.
with
I'm run out.
the Chamber of Commerce, and as part of our recommended budget, I certainly took, comments to heart by council, but, in doing my due diligence with the recommended budget, I felt, that was important to maintain that, but that's certainly council's prerogative as far as reduction.
You said Jason's training is $2,000?
One of the things I said was that with the Chamber of Commerce, and I believe it was, we had included, what was that, about $1,500, I believe, for that Chamber of Commerce. I'm going from memory, but I know there was a,
Leadership Johnston County?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
Oh, $1,250, that 9-month course?
Yes.
Is that a certification or?
No. It's an opportunity to make connections, to learn more about Johnson County, to build his network within Johnson County.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends who've taken it. Community leaders.
And I think he would be the first one from Archer Lodge to take it, and I think it's a benefit for us to make that connection. But that's on top of the other training that he needs to do to keep his certifications and so forth.
All right, anything under contract services, same page?
I've got it on, it's on the page 33. And I know, David, you had talked about the strategic plan and the town core concept as far as getting some students to do that. But can you give us a little bit more information on how that's going to differ from the comprehensive land use plan?
So strategic plan,
Well, that and the Archer Lodge Town Core concept, because to me, it seems like the comprehensive land use plan might cover
so
that sort of
strategic plan is
information.
about how you, as a council, as a body, want to, your priorities moving forward. It's not specific to land use. It's planning in general for the town's future. The village center concept, developing that. The village center is something that's recommended by the planning board unanimously to council as part of the land use plan update. And so, analysis done by that would be to further establish a vision for that, what that would entail. Using students for that, that's not a guarantee, that's something that we are pursuing, and I'm trying to develop that, that relationship, and that, opportunity. There's certainly an interest with NC State School of Design, with one of the professors to do something, but she's going to be, out of the country doing study abroad in the fall, I believe in Spain, and she has some cooperative extension duties in the spring that we may be able to fit something in next spring, but that's still to be determined. So, if we use that, if we use them, that's certainly the cheaper way to do it rather than to spend additional funding for a consultant.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The strategic plan, I was looking at a couple different options for the strategic plan. I have an estimate or proposal in hand from Central Ponds for $10,000. Trying to find other options, I reached out to NC State. We had the meeting with the Cooperative Extension, Economic Development, Design, MPA program, and so forth. The MPA program would have been the initial best potential match. The professors in that program didn't have any availability or an upcoming course that would match well with a strategic plan. And they did put me in contact with a potential Appalachian State University professor that is looking for next spring. But again, at this point, council has communicated a desire with the strategic plan. That's been one of the things that we talked about in prior work sessions and retreats. I do strongly encourage you to develop that strategic plan. And so for expedience and honestly reality for, I think it's a very reasonable cost that Central Pines has provided. I would recommend going with Central Pines. And what I discussed with them was potentially, if council approves that as part of the budget, that we would try to schedule the beginning of that strategic plan in the fall. And there would be a community engagement with that, some public meetings, public input opportunities, and then, working with council to develop a vision for moving Archer Lodge forward and developing the goals to incorporate into that plan.
Doesn't And I'm not saying no to this, but doesn't UNC Charlotte have a municipal, whatever they call it, but it's like one of their degree programs is municipal planning or urban planning or something like that.
So ECU has an undergraduate program in planning. They're the only ones in the state that have an undergraduate program. The Appalachian has a graduate program in planning. I'm not familiar with UNC Charlotte in planning. With the strategic plan, again, I've tried to do diligence to find alternatives for council. I think Central Pines has provided a very economic option. They have experience and knowledge base of Archer Lodge already, and they have done this. I think with the importance of a strategic plan, it would be good to, I think there are certain projects that are more conducive for students. I think strategic plan, it'd be better, we'd be better served by getting someone like Central Pines to do it. And again, because of, the professors have typically already lined up their projects for the fall. They're working on getting spring. And again, I think, to further develop, begin discussions about just, where we want to be as a community. I think it's a natural progression from the land use plan update. But, again, not just talking about land use, but, the entirety of the town, how you want to move forward as an organization. So I don't know if that answers all your questions.
It does, I think there's probably more value with the strategic plan than the town core concept, because I don't know about the rest of council, but I've received quite a bit of pushback on Village Center as
Oh,
far
yeah,
as
I have
just,
too.
why do we need it? Do we really want it? And that would be the one I would question if we could get rid of the town core concept, because we were incorporated, sold on, we're keeping it the same, so why do we need a
So
concept?
the folks that have been bending my ear about it, they like the idea of a town core, just not where they are.
Yeah.
And to every individual that has at least spoken to me, has said they would like a town core, just not where their property is. Which I think is, it's kind of.
I believe that decision will be made for us one day by a property owner and a developer.
Probably.
I'd like to see it removed from this year's budget, or for the following year.
Yeah, the cost will be totally on them, on the landowner, if they decide to do that with their property. But I am curious, David, are there, not internships, but because we're dealing with college students, are there programs available where they will do this as part of a class project, and it would not cost us anything?
You're talking about with the town core?
Or just strategic planning?
As I've mentioned before, I was looking at different options with the strategic plan and including the students. I think having experience will be extremely helpful. I've tried to go through to find students that would provide a strategic plan, but I don't have any definitive things. But again, I think it's $10,000 is a very good price, and I think even with students, so NC State, with some of their project involving students, there's still substantial cost in their business model. With the one that we're looking at with UNC on the transportation, staff's gonna be heavily involved in that. The only cost that we've got with that one though is really a couple $1,000s in travel reimbursements. So we're not having to pay for any staff time, but some of the other NC State ones, we still have some staff costs.
Mr. Mayor, could you get clarity on whether we're gonna leave the 10,000 of the town core concept in the budget?
Well, it was just mentioned. I mean, it sounds like the majority is against it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, contracted services software. Page 34, anything there? All right, Parks and Recreation, page 36. All right, anything page 37? Thirty-eight's benefits has already been addressed. Thirty-nine and 40.
I'd like a little bit more details on the $9,000 for training and meetings. That's by far the highest amount for training and meetings that any department has, and it seems a little high.
Is that training for multiple staff members?
Yes, for all of us. And again, we all have different certifications or experience, expertise that we need to get certified in. For instance, I'm a Parks and Recreation professional. Blake has his pesticides. We need someone to be a certified playground inspector. The one that we did have that had that certification has left us. So we're still short on some things. Again, but it's up to the council how they want to fund that line item.
And
That is our largest department with 3 permanent staff members, and so that averages out to $3,000 per person, and each of them hold multiple certifications.
Do each of those certifications require yearly training, kind of like professional development hours? Or is it if you're certified, you're certified?
All do, except the pesticide. I'm not sure if we need any continuing education units on that one. But as far as like the CPRP and whichever one of us obtains the certified playground inspector, all of those have required
yearly.
education units.
The pesticide, there's required hours every year by the state of North Carolina.
Okay.
For 39 and 40, sorry to go back, on page 39, maybe I missed it, but I think there was a request for an itemized list for that 75,000 for program materials and supplies. Page 39, did I miss that? Email, we were questioning the amount, since we only spent 60 last year.
I would have to go back and look at my emails, but I think I did provide that information.
Oh, did you? Okay, my bad.
But let me make myself a note to double check that.
Well, and Frankie, I know we realize that 75,000 is consistent with the Parks and Rec fees. So it's kind of like that the fees that we're getting for participation is offsetting that expense. Is that right, Chris?
Not 100%. Not 100%. Again, when you're looking at that, you're thinking, like, a national average is 30%.
Well, but
Anything over 30%, you're a rock star. Our baseball, our fall and spring baseball, softball, and t-ball programs put us kind of high when you're talking about cost recovery. Overall, we're probably in the mid 80% when we're talking cost recovery. With our baseball, softball, and t-ball program, we're coming in at 98% cost recovery. And
With the
that's-
materials and supplies.
Well, I mean, again, when you're talking materials and supplies, I don't think you can add the fee structure in there. I mean, even though they're included when we are coming up with our fee structure, but again, like, you're talking number of jerseys, jerseys and equipment when it comes to that.
So the Parks and Rec fees, the revenues are 75,000. So they're not necessarily going for the same thing.
That's estimated cash when you're talking revenue.
Right,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, but I just assumed that they were offsetting since they were the exact, but it sounds
Oh,
like.
yeah, I mean, again, we're close when it comes to that, and again, we're doing better than a lot of other Johnson County, organizations, like for instance, as Mr. David said earlier, I attended, JCAA meeting, last week, and everyone was talking about, cost recovery, just because, I think Clayton has hired a new assistant a new assistant Parks and Recreation director, and her main job has been cost recovery, because that's what they want to increase. Right now, they're in the 50% range. For instance, Smithfield, they're batting at like a 20% range when it comes to cost recovery. But when you're thinking of that, it's how you look at Parks and Rec. Smithfield, Selma, Clayton, they kind of look at Parks and Rec as a service rather than where we want to be cost recovery. And the service, just like fire and police, we're offering this service to the citizens of that town.
Okay, anything on page 40? All right. 41?
I have a question about on page 41, we gave the community center extra money for this year for the fireworks and everything that wasn't originally in the budget. So why are we not taking that money back and just keep giving them what we've been given them?
They went up on their sponsorship fees this year. So we've been the top provider for the family fun day for the previous year. So we're just matching what we've offered, being the top provider going into this year. Like for instance, like 2,500 last year was the top, I guess, donor, and the town of Archer Lodge has always been that top donor. So since with them raising their fees to 5,000 for the top donor, we increased ours to reflect that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question. The Sam's $6,000 budget, they wanted $500 a month. How has that been funded in the past? Because I don't recall, have we given to that in the past?
We have. I want to say we're going on our third fiscal year providing for the SAMS program.
I was thinking it was 3
Yeah,
years now.
It's reflecting, our contributions definitely reflecting to that program. Again, when you're talking, when that program first started, you're probably talking anywhere from 5 to 10 participants. I think they're well over 30.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's twice a month too, right?
Yes, sir.
I'd say 40.
Yeah, sometimes it is,
Yeah.
yeah, packed in there.
How'd you
They
know,
also
Frankie? You ain't
provide
old
a
enough to be
letter,
there.
a request letter every year.
Yep, that was the requested amount, right? I remember that.
And again, just to add into it, such as the fireworks as well as the SAMS program, by giving to other organizations to provide that program, we don't have to do that ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
All right, page 42. All right, 43.
So for the batting cages, how many batting cages was that for?
That's for 2 batting cages, that being the purchase of batting cages as well as the install of those batting cages.
And where would that be, at the Newtown Park?
Yes, sir.
And how many bullpens would that have been for? Is that-
You're looking at 4 bullpens. I don't have, that's not a concrete, quote.
Mhm.
That was just an estimate off my knowledge, but I can get a concrete quote probably within the next day, from our fencing. I have 2 fencing companies that are excellent, that respond excellently.
So you've got, two fields, 2 teams per field, so that gives, each team an opportunity to warm up pitchers at the same time.
I personally would like us to hold off on that and try and get the county's open space grant this fall to do that. I don't know where the rest of the council stands, but I think that would be a great opportunity to reach out through that grant and try to get that money to purchase that stuff.
What's the name of the grant?
It's an open space grant through Johnson County.
We won that grant in the past, that's how we got our pickleball and our, disc golf, equipment. But that grant is only $7,500. And you're talking, no one entity, in Johnston County will get that funding.
It's parceled out.
Yeah, depending on the project. So again, they, just like any other grant, they'll rank the projects as they come in. Like this year, there's still $1,500 left. I want to say Smithfield was the only municipality that applied this year, so they got 6,000 and still 1,500 left out there.
Okay, well then I'll rephrase. I'd like for the staff to reach out to Johnson County Parks and Rec and see if they can assist us with this. Seeing as how we have other members outside of the town of Archer Lodge attending these, participating in these activities.
That's definitely something I definitely will do. Just, I guess, to add to that, they do have funds. Most of their funds are going to the municipal park out there towards Cleveland, as well as with the grant, the land that they were donated off, what's this, like Perry something road? But they do have money, other money tied up elsewhere, but I definitely will reach out.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, the county's going through their budget development process as well. So, I mean, to try to get something in their budget,
Kind of late in the game.
I think we could certainly, try to set things up for next year, but if council wants us to move forward with this project.
They have not voted on it yet, so we could reach out still. There is time.
Are you want to eliminate the batting cages and the bullpens, or?
Yes, both right now.
What do they do without them? How do they do this without the batting cage and bullpen?
They kind of warm up in the open space right there beside the pavilion, as well as they're hitting against the fence and outfield, which I have been not a fan of.
I'm not a baseball player, so what is the bullpen?
Bullpen is where the pitcher warms
Pitcher
up.
warm up.
Okay.
All right, we've heard from one, Councilman Jackson. What are your feelings on that? To finish out that for baseball, I think those items were specifically requested by JCLL this last meeting, I believe.
The batting cages were, if I recall, well, it might have been both.
I think he called for both.
For me, I can see more of a need for a batting cage than a bullpen right now. I know we've got this tournament that they were concerned with, and I don't know that, I mean, it's a big chunk of money to start with, and there may be some economy of scale for building them both at the same time. But I don't know, I'd be okay with putting up one batting cage this year, and if we can find some money to complete that for the coming years, then okay.
All right,
That would
Councilman
at least
Eccles.
keep them from hitting up against the,
So you're saying one batting cage as opposed to 4?
Two.
Two
Yeah,
batting
correct.
cages, correct?
Correct, 4 bullpens.
it was 4 bullpens, but,
Just one batting cage?
mhm.
And no bullpens?
Not this year. We can look for some money. I'd agree with that, but
Yeah, I agree with, I'm sorry, were you finished?
I think I am. Yeah.
I think we should definitely look out to the county for some resources as well. I agree with that because only 25 to, not even 30% of Archer Lodge children are using this park. It's great that we have attracted these championships, these tournaments. That's amazing. We do have an amazing park, but this is a huge amount of money that can go towards dropping our property rate some more.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Castleberry.
I hate they've come to us at this time and wants it done in a month, you know, that makes it hard. But I do understand, you got that playground there for those little little kids, and then you got people out there throwing baseballs in the open field, and little kids are gonna be little kids. They're gonna take the ball high or wide, whatever. You know, that's my biggest concern is, you know, make sure they're kept safe. And like the tournament coming in, if we're gonna do two, I say do two pitching cages, because they'll play multiple games in the day, and that pitcher is the one that's got to get his arm warmed up and ready to go. I think I would put that ahead of the batting cage. You know, you only bat 2 or 3 times a game, and that pitcher's out there pitching.
So prioritize the bullpen,
Yeah.
one per field.
One pitching cage per field. If that's all we're gonna do, that will be my priority, but, you know, and I just wonder why we didn't do this, when we started this program.
We probably ran short on grant money, I would imagine.
Well, I'm sure we did.
To answer that, I believe, you know, that was certainly one of the components that we hoped we would have funding for. But, you know, as you proceed with construction, I mean, you just, you know, there's not enough money to do everything.
The majority of our grant funding has been for the park. I mean, so we're constantly on the lookout. We've been very, very fortunate from many different avenues, you know, from grant, but it's not going to take care of it all.
And just point of information, I believe Johnson County Little League, you know, did talk about the need for batting cage and bullpens last year. It wasn't something that they just came up with. It's been a part of the ongoing conversation between JCLL and the town.
Councilman Bruton?
Let me ask this, because for years and years, Johnston County Little League used the community center. And they don't have either the batting cage or a bullpen, do they?
Yes.
They do.
They do, they have both?
They have both. The bullpen is a fenced-in permanent, and the batting cage has been more of a temporary net, right?
No, it's a
It
full-fledged
is now
batting
permanent
cage.
as well.
There was a donation from a gentleman, maybe, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago. His kid played in the
Lived in Cooper
Right.
Farms.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, exactly what it is.
I still remember that net from picking up trash out there. Okay?
And they both get used widely.
Right over here.
Used on a very regular basis.
I'm struggling. I'd almost like to make a decision after we hear from Johnston County, hold off on it now and maybe put it in for next year. See if we can't find other funding sources.
All right, we're at page 45, debt service and fees. Any questions there? How about page 46? All right, 47, interfund transfers. 48 is the totals. $49, transfer to fund balance. And I believe that concludes the departments.
Mayor, if I may, just want to get some clarity on, there was some discussion about the planning and zoning training, $5,000. Provided some information regarding the plan training. So just want to make sure I've got clarity as far as direction from council on that line item.
Which page was that, sir?
32. Like I said, I brought it up, and my big reason was just from the conversation we had had talking about the draft. The change wasn't made in the recommended.
Yes, ma'am, and I
So,
addressed
I mean, so
that
it's like
comment.
it was,
Yes, ma'am.
if there was a reason for it, the others agree with it. It was a question on my part why it
Right.
didn't change, but
And the reason was, it was still a recommended budget,
Yeah.
and that's what I chose to include.
Okay. Any
So-
further questions?
So again, I'm still asking for clarity on that. Am I hearing the council's accepting of my response? So is 5,000 sufficient for that?
I would go up to 4.
4. That'd be a good compromise.
All right. Any further questions before we adjourn?
I do. This has not been mentioned. How are we with the 2-cent transfer being reduced to 1 cent park reserve?
I actually was thinking about going down to half a cent for the park from the 1 cent.
Oh, page 47?
I think the 1 cent is appropriate, particularly since we're, paying off the note in the coming year. But just like we've already said earlier, there's going to be maintenance items ongoing, anywhere from cameras to, asphalt ceiling to potential batting cages and bullpens and all kinds of needs, going forward. Not to mention there'll be certain repairs and maintenance as well. Just like with the situation that we have now with the window glass.
Is that maintenance already included under?
Yes.
Maintenance is included, I think what the mayor's suggestion is to make sure we've got reserves to take care of future maintenance and other items on the move.
That's exactly what I'm referring to.
Especially going into the future years where a lot of our grant money will be exhausted this year, going into next year. So definitely maintaining and improving what we've worked hard to build here.
So if the consensus is to leave that as recommended at 1 cent, then what kind of tax rate reduction are you looking for the general fund? Because now it's at,
I believe what. the way
I would total these things out and see what that totals out at.
I think that puts it back in our court to add these up and to make the adjustments as council suggested, and then provide, where that stands at that point.
So what I heard tonight, there's no reduction in any amounts right now that is recommended for any transfers to other reserve funds.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, and it's not something, honestly, that's not something I've thought about a whole lot.
What's the amount in the public safety reserve fund? Was that 500,600,000?
Currently, we have, and this is unaudited, of course, about roughly 542,000.
And-
This,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
this may not be popular, but if we could do anything to go towards dropping that property rate, I would say not transfer the public safety reserve, eliminate that 50 grand.
The 50 from there.
Are there any other council members that agree with that?
I don't.
The 500,000, what we have is about a year and a half worth of contract. If we got that letter in the mail, we'd have a year and a half in reserve, and that price has increased every time we've looked into it. I think it would be, I think it would be a little bit iffy to do away with that personally. Councilman Jackson?
I'm not okay with doing away with it. We wanted to do that to kind of, if we were ever given I guess the bad news that now we were in the law enforcement business. We wanted to have something that would soften the blow, because as soon as they tell us that as soon as we get told we have to provide our own law enforcement, it's gonna double our budget. And we were building that up to kind of soften that blow for that. So I'm not okay with doing away with it. Now, whether or not we can adjust that number down some or not, I wouldn't say I'm adverse to that, but
Mayor Pro Tem Castleberry, what's your thoughts on that subject?
I don't want to take anything away from that fund if we're going to take the money away from the park and do something with it, then I'll say put it on the budget, but we can't do away with that fund, that 542,000, or take any of it out. Because as you see here is, last estimate we had 2 or 3 years ago was 360,000. Probably, if you would talk with them today, to contract it out would probably be over 400,000 a year. So, yeah, I mean, that don't leave but 1 year, and a peaceful year, but
We're pretty close. Councilman Bruton?
Well, just to clarify with Clyde, we're not talking about reducing the public safety reserve fund, but the $50,000 that goes in it this year. So you want to leave it the same? Okay, I kind of got lost in there, so thank you.
We've been doing that a number of years, trying to build up, as Councilman Jackson says, to lighten that blow if and when that letter ever comes through. And hopefully we do get lucky, and hopefully we can continue to grow this fund. I'd love to have multi-years taken care of that would soften the blow and allow, some time to make adjustments other than double attacks.
Mayor, to that point, just point of information, 1 cent on the property tax rate equates to about $70,000. So if we're looking at, $400,000, if we had to start from scratch, in recurring expenses, that almost 6 cents on the tax rate right there.
And just a reminder, we pay county taxes. We would never be without any law enforcement. The sheriff has to come. We pay county taxes. And having law enforcement is not just this 360. You're looking at facilities, special insurance, special health, special retirement. It's millions of dollars added for us to have our own, and that is an option for us. We will always be covered by county law enforcement and the highway patrolman who rides through occasionally.
We would be covered, but to have dedicated coverage, there'd be a value to that. There would be a value to that.
Yeah, thank God this is a safe area, and we pray in Jesus' name it remains that way.
We do.
It's
We do.
not a necessity.
Animal control was also a service that was provided until it won't. So
Yeah.
something to keep in mind.
What about cutting it in half, make it 25,000?
I'm willing to negotiate.
I mean, you
I'd be
know,
willing. I'd be willing to do that. I'm not willing to do away with it, but with contributing to it each year, because I hope it's not even in the next 20 years or so, and if we eventually get to the point where we get that up to a reasonable amount or whatever, where law enforcement was 100% dropped in our laps, then I'd want to soften that. I'd want to soften that blow, but I'd be willing to do that.
If it were ever, we're gonna want every penny in there.
What, the one thing is, this figure here is working through the sheriff's department. If it ever went away from the sheriff's department, said you got to have your own police department, if you're talking $1.5 million the first year, $2 million. To get everything, cars, people, benefits,
Insurance.
insurance, and that is berserk.
Office space.
So, I mean, that 360,000 on there, so the figure is going through the sheriff's department. We have to do it on our own
From scratch.
from scratch. $1.5 million probably won't touch it.
Yeah. No, we've debated that many, many years, and I think most everyone, if we were ever faced that choice, would be, through the sheriff's department would be ideal. They have the training, they have the expertise, they have the equipment. And again, to have a dedicated, force, dedicated coverage, wouldn't be an entirely bad thing. I agree. I don't think we'll go without it, but they could get stretched thin, and we could have some voids.
And elections change things.
And elections do change things, and we have a sheriff right now that is very pro Archer Lodge and very pro in discussing this subject with us. We're not always guaranteed that. So, again, I think that would be, honestly, I think would be shortchanging, ourselves and future taxpayers in the town, by reducing that by much.
One question, can we take a consensus to see where everybody stands on 25?
As consistent with everything else, yes.
I'm good with the 25.
I'd like to keep it around 40.
Okay.
I'm good with 25.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
Is that just for the public safety or the capital reserve as well?
I thought we were just talking public safety.
Public, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I was talking was
Yeah,
public
that's all.
safety.
Yeah.
All right. Hearing no other questions or comments, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may,
Okay.
one other thing before we adjourn. We were, again, want to thank you for the input tonight. We will certainly take all this and develop a revised document for your consideration. We do want some clarity as far as how you want to proceed with adoption. So is there a, we would need a special call meeting for adoption of the budget. We have a work session, planned for next Monday. We could certainly have a call meeting that same night. I don't know if that gives Ms. Kim enough time to update this. I don't want to push her too much, but, certainly defer to her for any guidance on, pulling all this together, getting additional information back to you. And then, but it would be nice to have some clarity as far as when you want to consider this and have a special call meeting.
Yes, to me, it's kind of hard to answer, not knowing when we're going to get the revised version, because I'd kind of like a few days to look it up before we vote on it. So, I mean, and it may be, Kim, because I know there's been a whole bunch of conversations, that you can reach out to us when you've had a chance to kind of regroup and say, all right, I think realistically I can get it done by date, whatever, and then we can decide.
Why don't we do it Monday the 22nd?
It's my opinion that I believe after once I receive all of the information, once the new revised budget is ready to be reviewed, I would think staff would definitely need to go over it again. I'll give y'all a chance for any additional discussion, because it may throw up something that wasn't there to begin with.
So I know with the work session,
And we got these two changes that I mentioned earlier with the audit.
what?
Because we have the work session next week, right, the
We do have the
15th?
work session next week. As part of one of the items on the work session, we've got continued discussion of the budget.
Okay.
And we can certainly try to do what we can to provide information by then. But again, just wanted to have some clarity on what you would like to, when would you like to consider adoption of the budget? Or that could be discussed.
Myself, I think the
Next week.
22nd would be if we could shoot for whatever information we could have next week, that'd be great. And hopefully that'll suffice for any further questions. And then 22nd, hopefully that would make for a quick meeting. That's just and the fallback is that would give us, basically a week before it has to be done, right? That's my reasoning there. But we've named out a lot of different items. I don't know about, will we, that gives Ms. Kim enough time to get it done, get it back to council, and vote on it on the 15th. I think by doing it the 22nd, that buys us an additional week.
I'm okay with I'm okay with either one, but admittedly, I don't, I'd do the 15th or the 22nd, that's fine with me.
Okay? Anybody feel strong one way or another?
Other
can't
than the
be
county's
the
deadline on
22nd.
the 19th, that's my only,
Well,
What's that?
with the county's deadline being the 19th, that's
Request.
presuming that the county commissioners have theirs adopted too, so.
So the county tax office has asked us to.
Request, not mandate.
Has asked.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's just a request.
Because we voted on the 30th last year.
Yeah, we've been late plenty of times.
When are we going to get the fire district? Is that one
That's part of the
set?
county adoption.
So, okay.
The manager didn't recommend changing it, so.
Okay, so it's probably going to stay.
It is as 11 and a half
Okay.
right now.
Since we've talked about so much, I'd like to talk about it again and not vote on that same day.
so talk about it on the 15th and then,
Yeah, vote if you wanted to on the 22nd. Because that would be all that meeting is. Right, just a
Should
meeting,
be.
2 votes.
If you all wanted to meet the 19th deadline, all you need is a 48-hour notice to notice a special meeting. So if you all decided you were comfortable
On the
with a special
15th.
meeting, the 17th or the 18th, or it'd probably have to be the 18th.
Well,
But I'm
That would
just
leave
letting
me.
you know that's an option if you wanted to do it that week before the 19th.
And we could make the decision on the 15th.
Correct.
I can, for me personally, I won't be here the 18th or 19th.
Well, and we have another councilman who won't be here on the 22nd. Did I hear that correctly?
And it ain't the hurricane.
Yeah, I mean, I could do I could do the 23rd.
Yeah, same.
Would you be available the 23rd?
As far as I know.
Okay. Well, again, we don't have to decide that's a potential. We can decide the 15th, and, but the 23rd sounds like the best next date if it's not the week of the 15th. All right, any other questions? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.
I'll say this is the kind of process I've been hoping to do.